News Channel 5 Network, this is Morning Line with Nick Barris.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us on Morning Line. Nick Barris here on a Wednesday. Good show on tap for you. We're going to open up the phone lines for you and give you a chance to join in the conversation with our guest who comes on every month. It's Davidson County Sheriff Daron Hall. He is sheriff of, is it the second largest county in the state?
The largest, I think.
Is it bigger than Shelby County in Memphis?
I think so.
It is.
I think so.
The jail that he presides over is a city unto itself, along with many citizens that live there. Some work, some live there. And we've got the new jail going on. And let me just say, have you driven by? It's making progress. It is not a Frank Lloyd Wright structure. All right, it is what it is, and I understand we don't want to spend a lot of money on making it lovely, but on the outside, there's some cool windows on the one side, but it's just kind of blah, right? Now, the inside, and you're going to tell me what counts as the security and all this, but it is downtown. The Birch Building's kind of sharp. Now, is there going to be anything else added on the outside of it once it's done, or is it just going to kind of be that color wall? And I know this is out of your control, some of this, but what's it going to look like on the outside?
I don't think you'll get a whole lot more. And one of the reasons why, you remember this years ago, I wasn't a fan of building it down here.
I'm with you.
You shouldn't build that type of building in a urban area like this. And
you're absolutely
where
right.
Land value and so much is so different. But yeah, it's moving along. I think it's on schedule. There's not a whole lot more. Obviously, they'll put some landscaping and things that will dress it up some, but
it is what it is.
I think it's going to be, and
it's what's inside that counts. And you guys just had the groundbreaking a week or two ago for which is the big thing you're really excited about, is the mental health unit, right?
Yeah, I just have a philosophical problem with celebrating building new jails. There's something wrong with having to have more and new and all that, but this is different. We wanted to kind of recognize that the groundbreaking, if you will, of the mental health and behavioral care center was just a week or so ago, and we called it laying a new foundation because they're at that phase, just now starting the foundation for it. It won't take anywhere near the time to build that the jail does, just because it's not going to be a super secure environment. It's really more of a treatment center for people who are suffering from mental illness. So it's about to get underway there, and it'll catch up. And I think they've told us September of next year, to kind of expect the keys to be handed over. So 12 months from now, we expect a few months of working through all the kinks. I would say Thanksgiving of next year, or maybe 2020, early 2020, that we would open everything up.
Yeah, someone was asking me that. They said, is it going to open before the end of the year? Because it looks so much progress. But you said getting it down and then building it up, but it's the inside and the guts that's going to really take more time. Yeah,
the security software stuff nowadays has changed everything. I mean, these are simple things, but to be able to shut all the plumbing off with electrical, be able to hit a button and lock all the doors and shut this and open that, and the monitoring system that'll operate it, and it's one of the goals of the whole design is to bring the services to where the person lives, so you don't have to move the person all over the building and all over the city. And when you're doing that, a lot of that's technology. There's video systems and there's all sorts of cameras and everything. And so it will take a long time once the shell is done, which it looks pretty close to having that part done. And you've got elevators and you got other stuff that's inside that'll make it a little more complicated as well. But it's I think they're doing well, and the schedule looks good, and we I don't see any hiccups there. But we've said all along we'll need probably 60 days or so to have an empty building that's ready to operate, and then we'll do training with our staff and others. And before you move people in there, this will be the building that houses the most high-risk people, the most high-profile cases, and it needs to be right before you ever move them in. And I've opened facilities before over the last 30 years or so, and I won't ever forget you think that because they're new that they're perfect, and you think, wow, this is great.
Once the sucker's done, you guys get in and start doing your training, you're going to find things maybe that it's not construction, but things that you can do better based on what you've learned about the new building.
Yeah,
and so there's bugs. There's going to be bugs.
It is.
Same thing when we get a new studio or a set. You put everything into it, and there's still going to be things
you're going to not have thought.
Right.
I mean, I can tell some war stories of stuff like that where you just think, wow, we should have known that. There was I remember out a facility out on Harding Place where the corner of the fence came together. you know, it sounds silly, but you had razor wire back then and all this stuff. But right in the corner, it's very easy to climb the corner. When you got two pieces, it's harder to climb up.
Sure, yeah, this way you got either side, yeah.
And these two pieces of razor wire to secure the corner really couldn't get because they hit each other, but right in the center you could just climb right up the thing. And it sounds very obvious, but yeah, we had a guy go out over that, and makes simple sense today to sit here and say, well, hey, we should have known that. But then there's things that you don't know. I won't ever forget in a facility here in town where a bus would come in and drop off the inmates and then go out the other side. We call them Sally Port.
Yep.
So you'd open this side up, bus would come in and then shut it and then go out the other side. Well, the issue was it was measured to how big the gates needed to be on the height with a bus, right? Well, if you think about it for a second, when the bus pulls in, it's full of people. So the weight of the bus was lower, or it lowered the bus because you had 60 people on there with all the gear and everything.
Right.
But when you took everybody off, which is in between the Sally Port, it's time to drive out. The bus had raised and couldn't get out the other side.
Holy cow! That's funny.
So it was just a couple of inches.
So what did you do? You guys have to raise it, or just load it back up?
And rebuild that whole side. It was embarrassing, but you measured it when you pulled in, you know,
right,
back
and you
in the
think
day.
And you forget it was full.
15 foot 7 inches, whatever it was, you know. And so,
but you know, that's a great example of what you may not think about. I can see how that's something you don't consider.
It's a.
You know, you talked about the mental health unit and the high-profile inmates that will be kept at this facility, but if that was in place now, one of your higher profile, you know, inmates right now is Travis Reinking, who was held at the existing facility out there in Harding Place, right? We just learned that he's not competent to stand trial in connection with the Waffle House shooting. And so he's supposed to be moved, and I assume maybe he's already been moved to the Middle Tennessee Mental Health. That's over on Donaldson, isn't it? Okay, so would that be something where he could have received the treatment here had that been set, or does he have to go for specialized? It would be the same thing even if this was done, you'd be sending him out to that hospital. Yeah,
so it's a really good question. There's a lot of stages or pieces of the mental health issue, the evaluation of mental health. He's in a different situation. His is all about competency. Is he competent enough to stand trial? Obviously, the recent answer is no, and therefore he is to be housed, if you will, as a mental health patient, not a criminal justice matter. Well, once that's decided that he can't be held in a stand trial phase, then we move him to the mental health center. He will remain there and stay, and the new building wouldn't have changed that.
He goes there anyway because they have resources and facilities to do something more beyond what you guys are going to be doing with this, right?
And he's really, I mean, it's kind of a John Hinckley, if you will, case. Remember when in the shooting of President Reagan, when that happened, he went to the mental health center, I think, for the entire duration. I don't think he ever was tried for that. The other one that I'm very familiar with was Areola. They had the Areola case here in Nashville that shot our deputy back in '95.
Oh, right.
He was has never stood trial on that case, and so those cases where they're declared to be incompetent, they get reviewed. I believe it's every 6 months, but there's a review process. But as long as he's in that phase, he will stay at the mental health treatment center.
Well, and I just wonder, all right, so this guy right now is an accused mass murderer. He's not been found guilty yet, but we all know he did it. The question is now his sanity, I suppose. So we know this guy is really, really dangerous, all right? He's killed 4 people, injured others. All right, so you had him in a secure facility out there at Harding. When you transport him from Harding over to Tennessee, you know, and that's right over there, down from the Donaldson Y where I work out. It's next to the School for the Blind, and I mean, how secure is that for them to have someone of that type of danger in their custody? I mean, and do you guys leave deputies there? You staff it?
That's a great question too. We I've been out there before, and we send staff out there all the time, but they're with an inmate. They're transporting to and from, spend a lot of time. We've actually just set a video system up where we don't have to move them as often, so we'll set our inmate in our facility and communicate directly with the psychiatrist and psychologist without having to move them. But we're out there all the time, but it's not our responsibility to maintain security. Whose responsibility is that? The state of Tennessee, Middle Tennessee Mental Health.
Okay, so it's like, okay, it's the state mental health. Is that in connection with Department of Corrections at all as well?
Not really.
Or no?
It's Department of Mental Health. And by the way,
how qualified are they to be able to handle someone of his magnitude crime?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I think it's something worth exploring. I'm surely not questioning them, but you know, the buildings are designed very similar to what I would call an institution that we would run. They are designed in a very locked down environment. They can, it looks a lot like the unit that we're talking about. Looks a lot like.
Hang on, we got to take a break on that. I want you to just, if you don't mind elaborating on that when we come back, because that's just interesting. I mean, different types of inmates go out there for different kinds of, but this inmate, very, very serious stuff, scary dude. And so how is he held there? And then there's a lot more to talk about. We got phone calls coming. I bet you Joe's on the line.
All right,
we'll take a break. We'll be back. The line 737-7587. If you want to join in the conversation, give us a holler. We'll be back with more right after this.
Considering